The Lst Lgn, where we get into dealing with the Afghan border from what at this point was India, probably becomes Pakistan later, and well, later, as in when they kick out when the British would get kicked out and they partition, India gets partitioned into India and Pakistan, and they're dealing with the Afghanistan, which has always been a super difficult region, which has never been particularly tamed by any foreign adventurers going in, this, modern times included. And this is going after a mullah in Afghanistan who the British consider just a murderer. If you take Kipling's word for it, yeah, just a common murder. But if it ever came out, like if they fucked up, if they didn't just squash it and it was like never heard of again, then it would be all those soft-hearted people back below would say, oh, we're just bullying them and being mean, not taking care of a common murderer. And so what they've decided to do is do a night attack at them to get the mullah. And to not use any bullets, basically just sweep in, arrest, pull them out. And it's interesting, like the start of the story, we hear about the mullah, but we just hear about the Indian government, we hear about the English, but we're not named any characters. And then finally, like halfway into the story, for this expedition, we're like, there's a subaltern Hali is getting in shit because it's like, why aren't you holding up your man? And it's like, it's not us, it's the subaltern Carter behind us who's doing, or Carter behind us who's doing it. It's like, Carter isn't behind you. And it's like, where the fuck is he? And it's like, he's in front somehow. And it's like, so there's like kind of the confusion and difficulty of keeping, like, there's the English troops, there's the Gurkhas, and then there's the native cavalry. 3 sections, but trying to coordinate them and also keep them quiet is super difficult. And we're seeing how things get kind of the confusion and like, how's it going to work? How are we going to make this work? How are we going to be quiet? Is everything going to go to shit? Basically. So yeah. That it's interesting that we don't name anybody until this far into the story. It's very much like, is this like a non-fiction piece that's slipped in here? It's apparently not. I think Kipling says at one point, let's call him his name, the mullah, his name. It's Kula Chula Mullah or something like that. It's most obviously a made up name for this guy. Here, if I can see it, the mullah. What the hell is the mullah's name? But he's the only. Gula Kuta Mullah is the name of the mullah that they're going for, who keeps a hotel for murderers in his very village. And so the idea is to sweep in and get him and get all the murderers at the same time. Yeah. All right. So that's the first part of the Lst Lgn, because it's interesting. At the very beginning, it talks about how, we talked to 30 years ago, the Indian mutiny. There was a legion that was like, they would have rebelled if they'd had the chance, but the Afghans got them first. And it was basically, they say like, well, we talked to an old Afghan guy who talks about the hunt and about how kind of very cold-bloodedly kind of driving and harrowing these guys, this native regiment to a certain space and then just massacring them, and then like all the goods we got out of them. It's one of these things of, and then he kind of stops his, but as many men say, and then he stops his story because Kipling is going to, of course, characterize them as like, they're not very talkative to outsiders, and they'd much rather do some evil than speak some evil. So, that kind of duplicitous natives is the Kipling POV, the Kipling British POV on these strange native peoples. All right, I'm going to leave it there. More videos later.